4,000 years ago, in a city that doesn't exist anymore, a real person pressed a song into wet clay. This is the oldest lullaby that we have, and it's a threat. The mother is singing to her crying child, and what she's singing is this: "Be quiet, my little sweet baby. You're making the house god angry. You woke him up. He's disturbed. And if you don't stop crying, he will come." This isn't abnormal. Almost every ancient culture left us songs like this. Lullabies that name demons, warn us of wolves, invoke things that hover at the edge of the room. Why? What were our ancestors so afraid of? And why did they think that a song could stop it? In Russia, mothers sing a lullaby called Bayu Bayushku Bayu, and the song warns the baby not to lie too close to the edge of the cradle. Because if you do, a little gray wolf will come from the edge of the forest, and it will bite you in your side, and it will drag you into the woods. In English-speaking countries, we sing Rockabye Baby to our children. A song that most of us don't really think of the words to that much because the melody sounds so sweet. But listen to those words. The cradle's in the treetop. The wind blows and the bough breaks. Down comes the baby falling with its cradle. In Korea, lullabies invoke tigers prowling through the mountains. In Germany, the Sandman comes. And in the older versions, that Sandman wasn't gentle. He was dark, something that was coming for you in your sleep. And in ancient Mesopotamia, where our oldest lullaby was written, archaeologists have found incantation bowls and tiny little protective amulets buried in the dirt around ancient cradles. Inscriptions naming demons, language pressing and protecting against the dark. Mothers all over the world with no contact, across thousands of years, singing the same song, doing the same thing, for the same audience, against the same kind of fear. So either every culture independently decided to threaten their babies for fun, or they all knew something that our amnesia has made us forget. To understand what they were afraid of, you have to understand how they understood sleep. For most of human history, sleep is not a neutral state. Sleep looks like death. Your body lies very still. Your breath goes quiet. Your eyes close. And to the ancient mind, that was kind of literal. Across the Mediterranean, across the Near East, in ancient Egypt, in the British Isles, there was a shared and almost universal belief that during sleep, the soul leaves the body, that dreams are not just pictures that your brain invents. They were places that the soul actually went. A traveling soul, gone to other worlds, gathering what it could and bringing it back, which meant the body it left behind was empty, unattended, a house with nobody home. And of all the bodies the soul leaves behind, the most vulnerable was an infant's, of course, because a baby's soul isn't even quite arrived in this world yet. It's a soul in the middle of anchoring to the physical world, a soul that can slip out or be replaced, or never finish quite coming in to begin with. And the baby's cradle, that's a threshold. A sleeping baby was a body without its driver, and in this very populated night of spirits and demons, something else might climb in. So what was a mother supposed to do? She couldn't lock this invisible door against something that she was afraid of. She couldn't see it. She couldn't even name what this was. She only had one tool, one thing that she could put between herself and her child and the dark. That was her voice. the lullaby became armor. Normally, we would say these mothers were doing something beautiful, something culturally meaningful, symbolic, but not real. The demons weren't real. The protection couldn't have been real, right? Modern science says not so fast. Because when researchers actually started measuring what happens between a mother and her infant during a lullaby, of course they found something. In 2011, researchers measured heart rhythms of mothers and infants during episodes of intimate vocal interaction. Singing, soothing, cooing, the kind of sounds that a mother makes when she's quieting her baby. And what they found is that during those moments, the mother and the baby's hearts began to synchronize, beat in rhythm with each other. She was tuning her child's heart with her voice. Then in 2023, a team went a little further. They put infants in a setting with their mothers like they did before. No recordings, this was live. Mothers were singing in real time to their babies. But this time they monitored the baby's brainwaves. And what they found was the infant's brains began to rhythmically track the singing, their neural activity this time. It was indeed physically synchronized to the mother's voice. The baby's brain is locking on to its mother through the air, through nothing but vibration, in real time. A recent paper described what researchers are starting to call the penetrating power of the maternal voice. The way a mother's voice doesn't just enter the ear and stop there. It enters the body. It regulates the nervous system. It activates the same calming response that physical skin-to-skin contact triggers. So the lullaby doesn't just sit on the surface of the air. It reaches into the baby. It touches the body from the inside. Sound is touch. And then finally, there's the physics of the room itself. Acoustic engineers can appreciate this one. They all know that low frequencies behave very differently than high ones. Low sounds have long wavelengths. They saturate space. They press into walls and floors and corners. They're extremely hard to block because they require a lot of physical mass to stop them. So when a mother lowers her voice into that register, that slow droning hum, she's filling up the entire room with a long, slow wave that physically defines that space. She is, in the most literal acoustic sense, claiming the territory. So think about what's actually happening when a 4,000-year-old mother bends over a cradle and sings this threat into the dark. With that strong belief and intention, she believes that she's warding off demons. What she was actually doing was tuning her child's heartbeat to her own, locking two brains into a rhythmic synchrony, reaching into the baby's body with sound and regulating it from the inside, and saturating the whole room around them with a very low frequency that physically defined that room as theirs. She was right that the song became protection. Which brings us to something interesting about our present day. Right now on YouTube, there are millions of people listening to sound baths, singing bowls, 432 hertz track, solfeggio frequencies, mantras, ambient drones designed for sleep. And the wellness industry tells us that this is a new thing, that this is rediscovered, ancient knowledge finally returning. But it's not returning. It never left. Every claim that sound healing makes, that vibration affects the body, that frequency changes consciousness, that acoustic environments shift the nervous system, That's been quietly demonstrated every night for at least 40,000 years already by mothers in cradles with the only patient on earth who can't fake the result. The cradle is the original sound bath. The lullaby is the oldest, evidence-backed acoustic medicine that we have. While the great public sound traditions were being built, the temples, the priests, the king's musicians, the official sacred songs, the actual working acoustic technology of the human species was being kept alive somewhere else entirely, quietly, in the dark, mother to daughter and daughter to son, in the smallest, most overlooked place. The cradle. A piece of human knowledge so important and so dangerous to forget that it disguised itself as the one thing that we could never afford to lose. A song to a baby. Tonight, somewhere in the world, a mother will bend over her cradle. She will lower her voice into that register that she instinctively seems to find, the one nobody teaches you, the one you just inherently remember without knowing where it came from. She'll sing something her mother sang to her, something that her grandmother sang before that, a song whose origin nobody can remember anymore, whose words have been worn smooth by repetition. She won't know that her voice is synchronizing her baby's heartbeat to her own. She won't know that the low frequencies of her voice are saturating the room. She won't know that what she's holding in her throat is one of the oldest pieces of human technology that we have ever had. She will just sing. And those demons, whatever we name them now, they will stay outside the door.